Here's a review of the sales tax lesson from yesterday that we did regarding financial literacy. We talked about sales tax in Ontario, and we talked about the fact that it used to be two different taxes that added up to 15%. Now, the only reason that that's important is because it's helpful to estimate, because 15% are friendly numbers. We're going to use the base 10 number and then go off of that. So that's important. Our HST, which is what we have now in Ontario, is actually 13%, but you can see that they're really close in value. So if you can do one, you can do the other. So anyhow, let's talk about mental math for a second. The first part is to break this 15% up into 10% and 5%. Because it's easy to get 10% of a number, and then 5% is just half of whatever you get here. So if you determine that 10% of a number equals 20 bucks, 5% of that, that number, because 10% is 20 bucks, so 5% would be $10, and you could estimate $30 as your tax. And again, because we're doing 13%, you could take a little bit off this, and maybe your estimate might be something like $28 when you're done, because you took a little bit of money off trying to get close to that 13%. So I'll do maybe one more of those and then move into the actual work. For the mental math, the estimating is important. So if we were to say go and estimate 13% tax on something like $400. So you want to buy something that's 400 bucks, but not the price you pay, you actually have to pay that plus tax. Well, remember we got to take 10% plus 5%, and even a little bit less. So when we take 10% of a number, all we do is we move the decimal place one place to the left. That only works with base 10 numbers. But anyhow, this would be $40. Remember, $40 is 10%. The next thing we've got to find out is the 5% and even less. So if 40 was 10, 20 would be 5%. So at 15%, you'd have about $60 in tax. We're only doing 3%, so you could take a few dollars off, and you'd probably say something like, $55 would be a good estimate of the tax. But now we want to calculate it out for real. And there's two ways to do it, and then know what the price of your item is. There's two methods. One is by far superior, but if you're just learning, sometimes you have to, do the longer one first before you can wrap your head around the smaller one. Anyhow, if we were to take the example of HST, which is 13%, on a $70 item. In order to do it with the algorithmic method, you take the cost of the item and you multiply it by 13%. Now 13% as a decimal is decimal 13. And 13% of $70 comes out to $9.10. But that's the tax, and that's the original price, so you have to add those two together to find out how much you're actually going to pay when you get to the till. So together, that would be $79.10. So that's method one. That's the, work it out long way, show all your steps. But there's another way to do it. I'm going to call it method two. In this case, we know we have to pay 13% extra. So again, it's a $70 item, and we have to add 13% tax to it. Now, watch this. We can take the price and multiply it by the decimal 1.3. Now that will give us our tax, but if we put a 1 in front of that, 1.13, kind of almost distributive property like, the 1 will include the regular price, and the decimal 1.3 will bring the tax. So if we put those two together in one step, we would get $79.10. The trick is to include the full price of the item by putting a 1 and then decimal 1.3 as your tax, and that's how you get the original price and the tax added into one equation. Now, I find this far superior to do it, but you have to look with your comfort levels. So we'll try one more, and then we can get practicing today. All right, let's assume we bought a expensive musical instrument for $2,000. You're going to have to pay HST on it. There are two methods. You will choose, after some practice, which one you'd like to do best. The first is to calculate the tax and then add it in. So we have $2,000. We multiply that by tax in Ontario, HST, which is 13%. When we do that, we find out that equals $260. That's the tax now. We have to go back and add that to our original $2,000 plus 260 equals $2,260 for the item including tax. By method 2, we're going to do it all in one step. Remember, we have the item, which is $2,000, and we're going to multiply it. There's the tax right there, but we put a 1 in front of it. And when we put a 1 in front of it, the 1 gives us the original cost, and the decimal 1.3 gets us the tax. So simply put, 2,000 times 1.13 is 2,260. Again, this is where I would hope you would go soon, but you have to understand why that works that way, so you don't make mistakes when we do discounting where you take money off. So we're going to practice today. Good luck. Ask lots of questions.